In this video, we are speaking with Wappy, a full-time NFT trader, about what is going on in the NFT market right now. It is a very interesting time to be an NFT trader with so much going on globally and in the crypto and NFT markets. As usual, if you enjoy this content, make sure that you hit the like button, smash the subscribe button. It really helps us out with daily NFT content and podcasts. And as always, nothing in this video is financial advice. We're definitely not financial advisors, so always do your own research. Wappy, welcome back, amigo. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Wanted to pick your brain about what is going on right now in the NFT space. It is a gnarly time to be an NFT trader, and you are a full-time trader. So I'd love to know what your strategy is right now and what you're seeing in the market.
APO, yeah, what's up? It's been a little while since I've been on, so it's good to be here. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I guess it's the NFT space feels like it's moving even faster than it has like, a day to day in usual times. So I guess for me, I've been a little cautious the past, pretty much all year is how I felt like I needed to be cautious. But around now, like I feel like, especially, trying to I'm trying to accumulate as much like kind of like ETH and cash as I can right now, just because I want to be in stuff that feels safe and kind of feels like JPEGs went illiquid for 12 hours and then we've come back. But like, who knows? One bit of bad news and we're illiquid again. So I'm being very cautious right now.
So my response is like, so you're active, you're full time. Like I typically approach things with a more long-term investor cap on, and I'm only bringing that up because I don't necessarily enjoy actively managing a portfolio of NFTs because I understand and respect how much time goes into proper management and skill goes into proper management. But I know that it seems to me to be something that you're very good at, and I'm assuming you enjoy at least to some capacity. So, I'm wondering, you're saying that you're converting from NFTs to ETH and from ETH to dollars. Is this the best time to do that, or was the best time to do that when we were like euphoric before the Super Bowl? Were you also doing it then?
I was doing it at the beginning of the year, not converting into dollars, but was like trying to convert into things that were a little bit more liquid. And that was like the time when we were talking about like the DeFi stuff. That was the move to start to get into some of that stuff where it's just easier to shift it around. And then you all kind of kept buying stuff and it just kept going. So I was like surprised at like, the amount of money that just kind of kept pouring into different projects and the stuff that people kept buying and the amount of like churning that just kind of kept going on with everything. So I got sucked back into it a little bit and then, didn't really expect kind of all this to unplay, before March, in terms of like geopolitics.
Yeah.
So this got me thinking like, okay, you know, you've you've gotten a little bit of money, maybe it's time to protect a little bit of it and kind of go back to maybe how people were feeling towards the beginning of the year, which is maybe let's look at like a reset a little bit and like I'm still going to hold some stuff, some core stuff, but kind of like let's go back and definitely hold some like cash or some coins that we like. But as far as the NFTs go, like we may start to like look at almost like starting fresh, almost like the wallets kind of feel like there's a lot of junk in some of them. So maybe it's time to just like start a fresh wallet as well. But I'm just being very cautious about some of the stuff. And, I don't think, a couple weeks ago, I think it was like you could buy something or mint something and you're instantly up a little bit. Now it kind of feels like a little sketchy as to like if you buy something, if it's going to go up right away, or if you're more just the exit liquidity for people on the way down. So,
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're still active. I want to make sure that the audience
yeah.
understands that you're still active and this isn't like Wappy's just sitting on his hands for a week at a time. The last move that we kind of talked about on the morning show with you this week was the Star Catchers move, and I have this hilarious avatar on the screen right now. This project reveals tonight. I have two of these. You had bought how many of these on the secondary?
I had I think 2 or 3 of them, and I still like what I think these are because 'cause I've seen people in the audience
Yeah,
of different,
sporting
like,
them.
Twitter Spaces, like Mustache Dave, I think is one guy that I know, and, like,
Yep.
as a PFP, if it looks like what Mustache Dave is sporting, I feel like these could turn out pretty good if most of them end up looking kind of like cool like that. So I feel like these are kind of fun. I kind of like panic sold these a little bit yesterday because I was just trying to grab a little bit of liquidity.
Sure.
So I've sold out of these, but I still like these, and I think like looking at these kinds of bounce back. Um, and I said something earlier this week about like something came up on like one of my tools, and everybody was like, "What tool is it?" And I didn't want to say, but like I was looking at like NFT Nerds,
Okay.
is
That's
what I
what
was looking
Captain
at,
Kicks
and so
also
like
uses. Yeah.
I think that popped up on like the activity or trending or something like that. So, I again, like my thesis on this is if these look anything kind of like Mustache Dave's PFP and any of the other people who are running around with like some of these as their PFP, I think that these have a chance to do like pretty well and could end up at like above that like one ETH mark, especially if we don't go into like World War III mode.
Sure. And that's the big if, right? Everybody's big if is the World War III. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with all of that stuff, with, how war is good for business and how the United States will print money, quantitative easing, to be able to fund a war. And if the United States is printing money the way that it printed money during the COVID crisis, then you can expect all assets, like every asset class is going to run, probably except for gold, because gold can't just find a way to get any kind of alpha at all. Gold's just, sucking wind back at the end of the race. So you bought into Stark Hedgers at 0.6. You sold them at 0.7.
No, I probably bought them around like point 0.6 to point 0.7 and sold them around like the same price. Probably took like a little bit of a loss here after
Okay.
paying like royalties and gas and that kind of stuff. But was just in a try to like grab ETH mode yesterday just because I don't know. I don't want the world to end and me just be sitting on a bunch of like NFTs and not have enough money to like put bread on the table. So I was just like, okay, let's shift some stuff around here
Yeah.
real quick.
And it's important to say to the audience, right? Because we're 7 minutes into the video, people probably clicked on it. Like Wappy doesn't bat 1,000, right? Nobody bats 1,000. It's literally impossible to bat 1,000. And so Wappy detected that there was some turbulence and he got out of the project. But yeah, I mean, like you have obviously way more wins than you have losses. Someone in the crowd asked if you still are holding any full send. I know that you made a big bet on full send when they were at what, 1 ETH?
Yeah, about like 1 to 1.5. I still have a red card, but I was trying to sell it. Just another one, like not like I don't believe in it anymore. It's just like a longer term project, and um, I don't need to be sitting on as many of those. So
Yeah.
just trying to like get some of the liquidity back. So like sometimes things change here, but I still think over the long term, these guys probably figure out a way to keep people engaged and drive value into this in some way.
Yeah, and for some reason, my internet's not letting me load up anything. So we will do our best to get some of these NFTs that we're talking about on the screen. I want to ask you about Look Labs, because I know you accumulated quite a few Look Labs between 0.2 and 0.3, correct?
Yeah.
And
So I do like Look Labs. I feel like I need to go through and do another really deep dive into like the green paper, but I just feel like from what I know about it, there's a lot of kind of like intricacies here that I think will keep people engaged. And I might be mistaken here, but I believe like there's a certain amount of like Generation Zero buds, and those will go to the people who hold these passes, and then the people who hold the passes have the opportunity to mint up to 3 more.
yep.
I don't think that there's enough OG Gen Zero buds for all the passes to mint all 3. So that's where I'm starting to think like, okay, maybe it makes sense to have some of these passes because you're guaranteed bud in that case. Um, so, the thinking there is like, once you start getting deeper into like, okay, what can you do? You can do different strains, you can name different strains, you can level them up, you can get more earning power through them. Like, I think it makes sense to buy some of these. And as these dip below like 0.4, I think they're a good play.
Yeah, I like it too. And one of the things that you did, which I think is great, is these are ERC 1155 is the name of this type of token, right? Like the ERC 1155. So you can do this with the Nifty portal too, if you're watching, ladies and gentlemen, in that, if you're gonna buy these, right? When you see here the quantity, sometimes people will sell like a pack of 3. It looks like at this point, people are only selling one at a time, which is good. It implies like good distribution. But earlier on in a project, when people ape into a mint and they want to offload a bunch that they minted, they'll sell higher quantities. And one night I was on my phone and I was looking at this project. I had already bought in, but I was like, yeah, I think I might want to buy more. And I saw that there were packs of 3 listed. So you only pay 1 gas fee for the quantity of 3. And I was like, oh, wow, those 2 are both packs of 3. And that's like a good price. And then all of a sudden my ninja alerts went off and Wappy bought both packs of 3. And I was like, so I was right. That was like a good deal because Wappy saw that and he sniped it. Do you love doing that when there's like, packs of an ERC 1155 that you're into, just sniping the packs instead?
Yeah, I mean, on something like this, when you see multiple pop up and it's below, like something like this, like I'm bullish on this over the longer run, and longer run for me is going to be like a couple weeks in the NFT space. So, so like in that time frame, like I will basically like pick a price where I like something like this underneath. And for me right now, it's like, under 0.35, I really like these. So if I see these hovering under like 0.35 and I see like a pack of more than one pop up, it's
However
something I'm
many.
interested in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of like how much ETH I have. If I don't have that much ETH, then I'm not as interested in doing it. If I'm just sitting on a lot of ETH where it feels like cheaper or easier to spend it, then I spend it. But I mean, I see some other people asking some stuff like, did I trim some of the wolf game bag? Yes, I did. I trimmed some of the wool pouches and one wolf. So I'm down to just like holding one wolf, and I still hold my doodle. So, but this is like a new game that's starting, and I think that this has the potential to do some of the things that we've seen like Creeps do and Wolf Game do, and some of these other ones. So
I was going to ask, do you see legitimate parallels between this and Wolf Game? And if so, why? Like, I mean, this one, don't get me wrong, this one's doing well. I bought this between 0.2 and 0.25. So it's not like this is doing bad. But I'm just like, why isn't this like the talk of the town,
I think it. I think there's a lot of other talk on the town going on right now.
Yeah.
So focus is just elsewhere, and then I think people don't like to talk about things that don't have like something right in front of them for them to like touch.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping this one does a little bit better than some of these other ones, is that when it actually does, they've kind of done it sneakily, because like I'm even roasting some people for doing what they've done with like these min passes. But like if you've launched the min pass and the game's not ready, like what's going on? And so
Sure.
if they actually launch the game and the game's not really a game and it's some like intermediary like game to the real game, then it's just kind of like, all right, what's really going on here? Um, so I think that's why it doesn't have the hype right now, because it's not really like launched yet. It's just like we can trade these min passes around, and who knows what that could be, because they could still like rug you at this point. But I think it's going to get a little bit further. But I think once you get there, there's a lot that like unpacks here. It's like the buds are just the start of it, and then eventually there's going to be like land, and then there's going to be like you could have a shop, and in order to cash out the tokens into like ERC tokens to be able to like probably sell in a liquidity pool, you have to go through the shop, and the shop take like a tax. So like there's going to be a lot that goes on here, and I think this is going to have like a bit more to run than where it is just right now at 0.4.
Did
So
did Beanie make this, and this is him iterating on his tokenomics skills? Is this just the newest Beanie thing that's better than the previous Beanie things?
So I don't think that Beanie is like the dev or anything here, but I do think he's got a hand in like, talking to these guys, and, you know, it's going to have the Beanie magic pump, and, everybody needs to go into that with, however you view that. So maybe a bit of caution, and, don't be afraid to take your profits when you see like your profits at like the level you want to take them. Is what I would say.
Yeah, I think it's architected by Beanie. I
I
think
think
that
that's a good way to put it.
he
Yeah.
architects it and then other people go and engineer it. I don't think he's a big dog. I don't think he's doing boots on the ground stuff. So we talked about Wolf Game a little bit. You mentioned that you got out of full send. Is there anything that's interesting to you on the market? I know you don't like to talk about projects before you've made the trade, like projects that you're working on, because you don't want to get front run. Have you bought anything recently besides Star Catchers?
Um, no, but I mean, it's not really that. It's just like I'm afraid to pump anything because then people are
You're
going to
not
get upset if I
pumping it. You're
sell
just
something.
you're discussing it. Discussing
Yeah,
it.
well, so Easy brought something up, and I think this was kind of a fun play, and it goes into something that you did the other day. But like, I was looking at Invisible Friends because I was ready to buy one on secondary, and I was basically like ready to spend about like 5-ish ETH
Yeah.
on one. Um, and my thesis was like I've seen so many people talk about it. I've seen people who like my friends who are into TikTok saying like I've seen this project all over TikTok.
Yeah.
My friend whose like wife is not really into like crypto or NFTs, or she's kind of like a little bit. She was like, "I love Invisible Friends. You need to buy me one." So she's telling like her husband that. So it's just like these had like normie interest in them.
A
So I was
lot of
like, okay, I'm
normie
interested in
interest.
these. So I was pretty pissed off like when they started selling immediately for like 12, 13 ETH because I was like, damn it, like there's no chance these are even going down to like 5, which is way more than I wanted to spend on them. So then I think it was around the same time like somebody posted in one of the discords like the invisible MFers.
Yeah.
Um, so I loved that idea because I was like, this is such a great like fu to the invisible friends is this like 0.01 mint. So I think I bought like 20 of those on mint, and those went up like a little bit that night. I sold like 2 of them for 0.05, and then they dipped back below like 0.01. And then the next day they ran. Like last night they were running, and
Floor
Easy says they're
sweeps.
at like 0.1. So I don't know if they made it all the way to 0.1 and they're still holding there, but they went from that's a 10x right there.
It's
So I
crazy.
love the little invisible MFers, and um, I'm not. There's nothing that I'm buying immediately right now except the Looks Lab and
You're
little
buying
projects
Looks
like
Lab.
that. That I mean, I've got 30 right now, but like if it dips below my price is like 0.35, which now you guys know, so maybe we don't ever hit 0.35, but like if it gets there, like I'll look at it.
Easy said that there's sales on invisible MFers right now at 0.09, which is hysterical. So I bought 5 of those things. I like basically 2.5x. So in other words, I made $75 off of it or something like that because they were so cheap. But I should have known that one, because I said I don't do degen plays anymore, but I when I saw that one, I was like, this is a degen play that's probably going to work. I should have known that it would have more juice. Like that's some pretty serious juice to go from 0.01 to 0.1. That's like, I mean,
Below
it's a
0.01.
10x. Yeah.
Below, because they dipped below it at one point. Because I went to like sleep and woke up really early in the morning and checked back on them, and I was just like, oh, are we at like a 0.1 floor or something? And expected to see all mine listed at 0.05 sold, and I checked and we were back, and I was like, damn, you guys really tanked it back below the mint cost. So I was shocked to see that run yesterday. But like this is a play that is a bit of a degen play, but like this is something I'm interested in seeing. So like if something like this pops up and it's got the right momentum behind it and it's cheap enough, like I'll throw like a 0.1 or 0.2 at it and just see what happens, and have a little bit of fun with it. But otherwise, like I'm a little skeptical. I'm trying to wait for like the next Clone X to come along, or I guess Three Landers, or Doodles or whatever. Wait for the next like right thing to really deploy the right money at, and know that you're just gonna be able to ride it for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm actually waiting for World to airdrop their second amount of like World token, and then I'm gonna maybe start trading that token.
Yeah. So, I mean, all right, let's talk about that for a second. We'll move on to that. Actually, I want to finish on Invisible Friend. So I sold my Invisible Friend. I was fortunate enough to get on the whitelist, 0.25 mint. I turned around and I sold it for, I believe it was like 8.88. So slightly less than this. I didn't want to go to bed last night without it being sold because of how uncertain market conditions are. When I woke up this morning, I saw that the floor was 9.16. So yeah, I could have eked out like another, I don't know, $400 or however much that difference is, maybe 500, $600. But I was happy to make the sale. And at first I said that I was not going to sell the Invisible Friends. And that would be like very on brand for me. I won't sell anything, but this one, the way I thought about it is that this right now is peak hype until the project actually is able to have time to deliver something and we can get like kind of true price discovery. So the way I thought about it is this is peak hype. I can sell now. Maybe it runs a little bit here, but it's realistic that after the reveal, it'll dip, and then we'll find out what the project is really made out of, right? So the way I think about it is there was a rumor that there was going to be a 30-day wait for the reveal. Apparently that rumor is not true. And apparently they're going to announce the reveal today. So it could pump. into like
Wait, so like they're gonna reveal today, or they're gonna announce when it's going
announce
to
when the
reveal to?
reveal is today.
Okay, so it
So
still could be. It's still up in the air. It's still dicey.
maybe it's a week. I don't know, right? So my thesis with this one is, number one, it's literally the most hyped up NFT drop of all time, I think. Probably. I know. I mean, I think that's safe to say. It's literally holding a 9 ETH floor within 48 hours of it coming out. It was the whitelist everybody wanted to get on, blah, blah, blah. So it's the most hyped up project of all time. It's a legit artist. This isn't like Hape or like Mechaverse. Like, this group is going to build in this space, in my opinion. From what I can tell, I feel that Motion Marcus and the squad over at Random Character Collective are going to build like a Doodles, a Bored Ape Yacht Club, a World of Women-esque brand entity in the space. So I want back in. The other thing is that this is the biggest motion graphics PFP ever, right? And if Twitter ends up implementing that feature and all of a sudden the most badass PFPs are motion graphics PFPs, this is the blue chip of all blue chips in that area. So I'm like, I kind of want to hold this. But then Russia invades Ukraine. The price of this dumped to 7. I didn't sell, obviously. I was like, well, now I got to hold it, of course. And then the next day it came back to 9, and here we are. I had to sell. I had to do something responsible for once. I sold it. I immediately took the Ethereum and converted it to dollars, well, to GUSD, and I threw the GUSD into an 8% yielding account. And I'm going to make like $160 a month just off that. So I'm like, you did something responsible for once. Now my goal, get another one. Without taking that money out of the GUSD account, get another visible friend. And that's going to require a dip. I'm not going to pay 9 ETH for it. It's going to require a dip. So I'm hoping I can get in on that. What does Wappy think about what might happen here with Invisible Friends, with the price action, and what's going on?
So because you had asked me last night, and I think my question to you was like, when does it reveal? Because I didn't know, and
I
I
told you
think I'd
30
heard
days,
from a
which
couple
is
other
incorrect.
people. I had heard from a couple other people 30 days. So, you said the same thing. So I was like, okay, well, this adds up with everything else I had said. So in my mind, with the conditions of the market, like if this was a 30-day reveal, I think selling is the right move. If it happens to like reveal tonight, then I still think selling was probably the right move, because these have to look really good for people to want to keep holding them at like the 9 ETH mark. And if they're not all looking really good, I don't know. You've got the 5K of them though, so it's not that many. They have a pretty unique owner count. I don't know. I think it's a risk. So I don't think you made a mistake like selling them, but it's definitely they could go up here too, I guess. But I think you took the solid like choice here, because if they reveal and they're not what everybody hopes for them to be, they could dip. And if they come out later today and say it is in fact like a 30-day reveal like window, then that's another kind of like issue for me. I was thinking with this, like out of everything they've done, I wonder why not do kind of like the artifact or like pixel vault method of like kind of like a mint pass, and like let people choose when they reveal their friends. Like you open up the window of like, okay, it's now till whenever, but I don't know. The force reveal kind of like, it's an interesting move with everything else that they've kind of done here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. The thing is like, I basically made a choice to keep the mutant ape and keep the Micah Johnson Chapter 3 Aku, which are my 2 other highest value NFTs. And I elected to keep those over this one, right? So that's just what I had to do during this turbulent time, where a lot of smart money people are saying to me that they think that we have some turbulence coming in the markets. The other dynamic that's interesting is NFTs versus Ethereum. Like if Ethereum dumps, do NFTs against Ethereum go way up? And that's like another just interesting dynamic that people are going to have to keep in mind. It's a pretty gnarly decision to have to make. But thank you for the insight on this one, Wappy. We can move on from this. Well, sorry, I already forgot. What was the project we were about to talk about?
Well, somebody else, I don't think they brought it back up, but like I want to bring it up because I feel like
Which
it's
is
kind of low key. But like Wolves, um, so
Wolf Game,
they no, just
Wolves.
WULFS.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolves or Z. Um, Somebody asked me if I'm still holding it. So yes, I am. I still have six of them. They're all staked because they earned the AWU token, and they were so cheap at point two, and they're still like point two. Um, I love the way these stupid little things look. I can't explain it, but they have like a voxel version of all of them. You got to go down to like where it starts at like point two, because
Okay,
those are all
these
the
are
pups.
the eggs.
Yeah. And this is like a team that I feel like is just slowly but surely kind of like building. But yeah, here you go. So they all earn the AWU token, and these are like stupid, but they all have like voxel versions of them. And for some reason, like I ask Easy Eats this like probably once every week or 2 weeks, like why don't I just come and sweep this floor? These things are so damn cute, and they earn you the AWU token. So
Is that token good?
not I don't know. It's worth like 20 to 30 cents, and you get 10 of them a day per wolf that you have. So it's not like amazing. You're making like $1 a day maybe. But it's not terrible. So somebody had asked about this. Yes, I'm still in it. Am I super bullish on it? Like you're going to make a ton of money? And I don't know, unless they announce something crazy. They're always building though, and I think I like the team. They're active, but like, yeah, I'm still in them. I think these are damn cute. Um, the other thing I was talking about though was like NFT Worlds, and
Yeah.
this is just, I think, got like a crazy story behind it. Like they were free to mint originally, isn't that the story on them now? And now they're over like 13 ETH,
Well, whether or not they were free to mint, which does actually sound right,
17.
they're at 18 ETH. So, all right, me and Captain Kicks interviewed Arc Dev, who is one of the founders of NFT Worlds. Whether they were free to mint or not, they ended up going to 0.25 or zero point 0.3, and then they ended up going all the way back down to 0.04, and then just meteoric rise. At the time that we interviewed them, they were at like 0.8, and they had run up from 0.6 to 0.8 in the 48 to 72 hours before that. And now, as you can see, 18 ETH floor. Arc Dev has had several exits as a startup founder in the past 10 years. I think it's like 4 or 5 exits or something like that, 3 or 4 exits. And yeah, so when I found out about the token the day after the token dropped, and at that time, I calculated that the market cap for the token was $2 million. And then I looked up the market cap for the Sandbox token, and it was $5 billion. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, if the Sandbox token is $5 billion and the world token is $2 million, why wouldn't the world token be able to go to 20? Like why would it possibly not be able to 10x to go to 20 million? And so I bought it at like 7 cents,
You're
and
doing real well even now.
it ran. Yeah, I sold like 75% of it on one of the tops. Now it's at 38 cents. So, and you probably can't see that. It looks like it's at about 38 cents. Its high that I've seen is like 55 cents. I think the top of that green candle right there, it was hanging out pretty consistently at about 55 cents. So, my thought is when they issue more, then there's a pretty good shot that this pulls back, and then you can probably get in. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I think they had announced within the past few days, that these snapshots, I guess, so for people who don't know, like you minted this, and then at some point in December, there was a snapshot, and if you held one of the worlds, they gave you world token, so you could go claim world token, and then they're issuing kind of like the second part of that snapshot because like 10% of the total supply of the world token, which I want to say is 5 billion total tokens. So like 500 million tokens total is what they're giving away in these two snapshots. So 250 million and then 250 million. So the second 250 million snapshot to all the world's holders is coming up at the end of this month. So this is in the next like 3-ish days.
That explains
So
the 18
my
ETH floor.
And then everything else from that point out is like 35% of this goes to like staking rewards over a 5-year period. Another 50% of the tokens go to like play to earn rewards over a 5-year period. So like that's 85% of the supply right there that's going to drip out over 5 years. So once this 500 million is out there floating, that's kind of like the core supply that's going to be out there for, majority of the time. So I'm thinking try to pick a price and wait for something to dip, and then potentially the world token is a play, because obviously, like, I don't just have like 17, 18 ETH sitting here waiting to go into a world, but the world token at like 30, 40 cents is something that like you can obviously get your hands on. And if you're bullish on this ecosystem and what the world token can do, because the world token, they've teased it can do more than just do what, like, be a token for NFT worlds. It can do stuff for other projects that want to build like a gasless kind of like system. If you're bullish on that, this is a play, especially I think once those 500 million tokens are floating around.
Yeah, I mean, I like the NFT world's ecosystem. I'm hoping that, like, for example, properties, I think, which I have a bag of, is maybe building in the NFT world's ecosystem now. So I love hearing about that. I love the idea that those projects are partnering together. Anything else that you're looking at, whether it's like an NFT or a token? Otherwise, I do want to talk about DeFi Kingdoms.
Um, Not really. I think like the main thing I would say is probably like the Look Labs is kind of where my focus is the most right now, and I still need to do like a hardcore deep dive into it. But like the basics of what I know, I like what's kind of going on there, and I think around these prices is decent to get into it.
Okay, what happened with DeFi Kingdoms?
This was treating me really well for a while, and then what kind of started happening like weeks or months ago, there was something that kind of like startled the market, and everything started to kind of like tank a little bit because it was around like when Wonderland was starting to fall apart, I think, and there was a bunch of like drama with a bunch of the DeFi stuff. So I think kind of what happened here is like I think DeFi Kingdoms is still like a fine platform on its own. I think what kind of happened here is it's suffering from just kind of altcoins taking a bit of a dip, and market sentiment kind of shifting into a little bit less of like risk on. So, when risk on, DeFi Kingdoms was great, and the coin was ripping up at like $20. When the market gets a little bit like fearful and goes back into this like seeking safe haven kind of mode, I think things like DeFi Kingdoms really took a hit. So I don't think it was really due to anything having to do with like the team is sketchy or anything fishy kind of going on with the platform. I think it's really just bigger market forces kind of like screwed this project over. So I ended up exiting out of it, because most of my money was just sitting in liquidity pool, and I don't know. I don't really remember if I took like a loss on it or not, but I don't really feel like I made money on this in the end by the time like I pulled money out of it. I still watch it every now and then because if the market comes back into like favor with altcoins, this is something that like I think buying the jewel at like the $6 that it's at now, like it's potentially a way to ride something on the way back up, because I still do think that the fundamentals have not changed here. DeFi Kingdom's team is still a reputable and solid team as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look and figure out, how how my jewel is doing, or just what the total value of my liquidity pool contributions is. But yeah, I mean, I've just never done well with DeFi. You can say theoretically I've done well with the DeFi for Ron token in the Axie Infinity ecosystem, but that's in a dip too. I don't know what it is. I just get wrecked on DeFi, except for Magic on Arbitrum. That one, actually, I think I've done pretty well on. But are you in any DeFi stuff at all, or just staying away from that for now?
Not really. Like I own the Gala nodes. I'm looking at getting into some of this because I do want to hold like ETH and stablecoin and do want it to earn, but it's probably not going to be as risky as it was getting into some of these kind of like stuff on Phantom or Harmony. Um, so right now, I have some nodes on like Gala and something else, but I wouldn't really consider that DeFi because it's nodes, not really like staking. Um,
It's more mining, right?
yeah, I guess you know that for purposes like it's proof of stake like mining. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think that this is all interesting. It's just like it takes a little bit. Like you got to manage it sometimes, or you have to be really early to some of the newer platforms to really like reap the benefits. I think maybe what I would recommend for you is if there's not a lot of money here, just leave it here if you still like DeFi Kingdoms overall and just let the cycle run its course because you're going to kind of go through like bear cycle here and it's already kind of, you're already in the height of it. So you're kind of be selling at like the bottom if you think it's going to come back. And if you think it's going to come back, you just sit here and earn like the platform tokens the entire time. And then as it moves back up into that $10, $20 price per jewel, if it ever gets back up there, you know, you have that little nest egg that's been kind of like earning.
Yeah, I think I put 1.25 ETH in. So, you know, let it ride. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And if you don't
Jesus.
believe in it, then you just kind of rip the cord because that's what you got to do in trading is if you lose faith in the trade, you got to just rip the cord and be done with it.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Maybe it's if it's worth 0.6 or more, I'll probably rip. I mean, I don't know. What a disaster, Wappy. DeFi is trash. All right, no, I'm just kidding. All right, well, all you DeFi people out there, I hope you're making more money than I am with my DeFi plays. Everybody, make sure you follow Wappy on Twitter. His Twitter handle is right there, bottom left side of the screen on his side. Right, bottom left side of that Patagonia vest that he's rocking right there, looking like a real finance guy. Wappy is a full-time trader, very savvy in the NFT space. Make sure you give him a follow and pay attention to what he talks about. Someone brought up a crocolypse. Do you know anything about a crocolypse?
No, I've heard it a few times, like get brought up. I've heard it got like pumped by influencers. I heard it didn't. So
It's by the guy that made paperhands.gg. So somebody that actually like knows what they're doing in the space. And I think Face Bank spot in. So that's the influencer pump that you're thinking of.
okay. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. I saw them. I was asking if they're a buy or not, and people were like, no. And then I said, even at 0.4, and they're like, they dipped, and then no one ever told me if they were a buy or not. So that's about my extent of like what I know about it.
You got to tell Wappy if it's a buy. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I see a bunch of people watching this show. Hit the subscribe button. I see a bunch of people watching. Hit the like button. It really helps. I really appreciate it. Smash the like button. Wappy, my guy, good kicking it, man. I'll see you next time.